Well, tornadoes rather, are not unheard of here in Michigan, but yesterday's storm involving several different tornadoes was strange to some, maybe seeing so many happen in West Michigan this early in May. So we're joined now by John Allen, an associate professor of meteorology and the director of the Earth and Ecosystem Science PhD program at CMU, just to get a better gauge on what happened and what we saw yesterday. We really appreciate your time this morning. First, I want to ask you, so we've seen so many, people out and about surveying that debris, and we'll see just so much destruction on literally one side of the street, and then across the street, homes or businesses seem untouched. Can you kind of describe why that happens and why we're seeing that?
So a tornado's wind field can be very small. It can even be something as wide as a meter across only, but they can also be they can be quite large. So the largest tornadoes on record are on the order of a couple of miles wide. And that's because we're talking about a very concentrated field of wind. And in that field of wind, the winds rapidly accelerate. For a tornado to be called a tornado, it needs to exceed 65 miles an hour and quite often goes considerably more than that. And that results in very strong forces being applied to small areas. So the side of your house, maybe lifting your roof up or picking up a tree or snapping a tree compared to, say, the other side of the road. So tornado wind fields are relatively confined. And you'll see in a lot of the damage associated with this, one area might be extremely hard hit. There might be some debris damage in houses nearby. So when debris gets picked up by tornadoes, that's actually the most dangerous element of a tornado for us. Debris like 2x4s can be thrown through things. You can see tree branches and or other pieces of debris, pieces of roofing being smacked into other places. Those are the things that actually tend to cause a lot of injuries associated with these events.
And we saw multiple tornadoes yesterday. At some points, it almost seemed like they were happening at the same time. We saw multiple different hooks on the radar as our meteorologists were tracking it all. Is that abnormal? Is that unusual to see?
It's not unusual to see tornadoes occur in clusters like this. In fact, what we had was a warm front over the southern part of Michigan, and that acted as the focus of where a lot of these storms started to produce tornadoes. And it was a rapidly escalating environment. We knew that there was going to be severe thunderstorms yesterday, and there was certainly a likelihood for tornadoes. I think the situation became quite a bit worse when many of these supercell storms, as they moved into southern Michigan, started to rotate relatively rapidly and produce tornadoes. And we've seen somewhere on the order of 6 or more, which is not unusual for Michigan. We've had big numbers of tornadoes in the southern part of the state before. It's just been a couple of decades since we've really had an event that maybe looks like this.
It's something extraordinary that we saw in West Michigan yesterday. A lot of recovery efforts happening this morning as we speak. But we appreciate your time and your expert opinion on what we saw last night. And hopefully we won't have to be getting that expert advice and opinion here for quite some time.